Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to Boulder Talk Radio. I forget what episode this is. I think it's number 12. I'll update it eventually. I don't know. Tonight's been kind of weird. Today's been kind of weird. This weekend's been kind of weird, especially if you're following any of the controversy in the country, the craziness surrounding the country. Of course, coming off of last weekend when the Kenosha Kid took out a couple people. He's since been brought up on formal charges. His legal team did, in fact, respond to them yesterday, more or less saying, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't do nothing. Kyle Rittenhouse, a good boy. And that is up for your own personal interpretation. But we've seen video footage now of him engaging in a fight where he sucker punched an older woman. Well, older meaning older than him, in a fight apparently started by his sister. And then he got his ass beat. So that's hasn't really been that good of a week for young Kyle Rittenhouse. We're going to have to see where things go on that one. But that's not the point of tonight's conversation, although it can be when we get into the open calls, because I got a hard limit on an hour tonight. I got to be out of here in an hour. I have a lot of other work to do and a lot of other shit going on this week, like coordinating going to see Evil Dead 4K remastered version. I'm looking forward to that one. The double feature with Army of Darkness. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's talk about some stuff here. Fat J says, Kyle did nothing wrong. That's actually not accurate. He did a lot wrong. But there you go. All right. Real quick here. Garrick asks the hard question. Who do you hate more, Ralph or GameStar? I make fun of Ralph a lot more. I don't like either party. I think they're both scum of the earth. I think they're both absolutely terrible individuals who will sell out their own mother if it got them just a shred of internet clout. Just a shred. Not even a full amount. Just a little tiny sisma. That's the kind of people that they are. But when we talk about the Gunt, and I pose the question for the title of this video, the title of this stream, is the Gunt the new JF? And the answer to that question is I think we all kind of know the answer to that question. But first, for those of you who don't know who JF Galliopi is, we need to go back a couple years. JF Galliopi, Gary Epi, whatever you want to call him, Mr. Potato Farmer himself, happened to be on a live stream for a show called The Drunken Peasants that was out of Seattle. And there was a woman on there who really liked JF. Young, 19-year-old Mexican-American woman out of Texas. So she contacted JF. She told JF that she liked him. She told JF that she enjoyed what he had to say on the show. So JF, knowing of this woman had limited mental capacity as proven by a court, decided that he would groom this young woman, that he would tempt her to leave her home in Texas, to travel halfway across the United States, to live with him, and to be the bearer of his seed, to allow her body to be the fertile soil for which he put his roots, for which he put, I couldn't think of another word for seed. I already used that analogy, god damn it. So we're just saying seed again. To which would sprout a little JF-shaped potato. And her parents caught wind of this. Her parents, not happy about this, traveled themselves from Texas to JF's house, took back the daughter. And ultimately, we found out through court documents that JF had manipulated this young woman, groomed this young woman for the purpose of just impregnation. Because JF wanted a child. JF wanted a baby. He wanted to be a papa. Now he's got another woman with whom he's attempting to procreate with. Her own mental capacity is one that's been called into question multiple times. And if you've ever heard her talk on a live show, you will ask yourself, why isn't somebody doing something to protect her? Clearly she's not all the way there. However, she did this new, they call her Mama JF, this new woman, she did like graffiti a building with, like, to praise JF. So she's definitely all on the Papa JF train. And but she's of legal age, I guess. I don't know. It's a situation. I just see clips. Man, I just see fucking clips. Then I just laugh my ass off at this shit. I just laugh so hard because it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Let me also quickly point out, because I need to kind of make this disclaimer. There are people that come over here from the $3 Theater channel. This is not a movie stream. This is a internet culture, current events, shit posting stream. It is not about movies. But to answer Euodius's question real quick, I find it interesting that Kelly Marie Tran was hired after another woman who I also believe is of Asian descent was let go from the film. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it is. Disney animated, I really kind of tend to like, so it's all good. Okay. So let's get to the point here. JF, Mr. Geriepe, the potato farmer, has competition now. He has actual competition. Nothing that, of course, we need to write home about. Nothing that, of course, would ever go to the Olympics, and no one here's the winner. In fact, everyone involved in some form or another is an absolute diehard, insane loser. So, let's find out more. So Mr. Vickers, marvelous Mr. Vickers, majestic Mr. Vickers, has a website called aborttheretort.com. It's still just a fantastic name. So on aborttheretort.com, he's been publishing documents, emails, text messages between him and the Gunt in an effort to showcase the duplicitous nature of one Ethan Oliver Raup. But if you've ever dealt with this grotesque, humongous, mongoloid-based individual, you would know how duplicitous he is. Everything he does is based upon his reaction. Everything he does is based upon his ego. And when the Gunt was exposed back in January of 2019, people got to see exactly who he was. Psoriasis, what is it? Psoriasis of the liver. I think that's what it was. Anyway, lots of dead skin. That's now kind of been plumped out, as we unfortunately saw a month ago. But apparently, in the correspondence between Mr. Vickers and Mr. Ralph, the subject of unprotected sex came up quite a bit. The subject of unprotected sex has come up quite often. And this exchange took place. We're going to look at this exchange right here. This is the exchange. Now, in the green is Mr. Vickers. In the white is Ralph. And it's something that, quite frankly, needs to be seen to be believed. I just have to move my phone because I'm getting interference. Damn you, phone. There we go. Turn off. All right. Stupid cell phones. Anyway, this is what we know. Okay. Mr. Vickers in the green, Ethan in the white. You keep dodging the trying to get her pregnant thing. That's the only point with you that I care to address right now. Ethan says, I wasn't trying. I wouldn't be against it either. Which is, come on, man. You literally just started dating this chick. Like, you just met her back in February on the internet. You got together 2 months ago, and you're like, I wasn't trying to get her pregnant, but yeah, if it happened, I wouldn't throw her down a flight of stairs. Like, that's basically what you're saying. Right? But I love Vickers' response here. He says, you two great giant child brains. Not trying is the same as trying. You wouldn't be against her getting pregnant at 18, then you don't fucking love her at all. What kind of twisted world do you come from? Mr. Vickers, I have a response for that. That twisted world, it's called Richmond, Virginia, where if you listen really quietly as the sun goes down, as the night becomes the all-encompassing, as the moon shines over the city, you hear it's Richmond, where their motto is, incest is the best, put your sister to the test. Now, Ralph, trying to gain the upper hand, trying to be the alpha male in this situation, says, Vickers, let me drive to the museum. I'm literally driving right now to and you have to love this too. He's attempting to defend the idea of impregnating an 18-year-old and being a caregiver to that child. And he is like, at this point, he says, I cannot respond to you while I'm driving. It is not responsible. But he had no problem beforehand. He says, I will respond when I get there, because he's driving to the museum. Keep in mind, this is the same museum, the same free museum where Ralph was trying to posture about the good life of living in Richmond, Virginia. The good life of living here with this $15 hamburger with my child bride. That's where he was at the time. Anyway, he responds here. This is where we get a real good glimpse into the psyche of Ethan. This is where we start to see what his game is. He says here, okay, here, I've wasted 10 years on the last 2 relationships. I want kids. I have the money to support them. Faith wants kids. It's not the worst thing in the world from my view. There's also there's also a good argument to be made that now is actually the best time for her to have a kid. That being said, it wasn't a set goal, etc. I do love your daughter, though, and I'm not going away. Definitely not going away easily. So I'm hoping we can bring down the hostilities a notch or 3. So let's just establish that for a second, right? For one, he acknowledges that his 5-year, I think 6-year relationship with Nora was a waste. And then there was a girl before Nora, is essentially what he's referring to. There's photos of this woman, I believe, circulating around. I don't know her name. I don't know her information. And I don't think she has any part of the story. But I'm just putting it out there for information's sake. So he admits that the time he spent married to his ex-wife, of which he still brings up pretty often, and that he's still clinging on to, you can tell that he probably was like, Nora, baby, Nora, I want kids, Nora. And then she's like, no, Ralph, you're a felon, with a really terrible accent. You're a felon, Ralph. I live across the sea. She's Irish now all of a sudden, or Scottish, whatever. She's from the UK. I can't do a UK voice right now. But she probably told him no, kick rocks, because she outgrew him. Like everyone else outgrows him. Like everyone else who ever knew this guy outgrows him. Because he doesn't offer anything of value. He can dolphin bark on command. It's not really what I call a set talent. He's never had a positive male role model in his life, unless you count the liquor bottle that he sleeps with. You know what I mean? Like, there's literally nothing about him that is a redeeming quality in regards to being a parent. I'm not a perfect parent, but I'm at least here for my kids. I do whatever I can for my kids, as would almost anyone else. You can tell Ethan would still do his show 5 nights a week, which, you know what that would mean? He would be getting drunk 5 nights a week. You know when the last time I touched booze was? Like, literally, when I was on vacation at VidCon in 2019. I hadn't had a drink of alcohol in over a year. I haven't smoked pot in 2 years because I have 2 young children and I don't want to be around them when I'm high. I don't want to be drunk or high in case something happens to them. That is what a parent does. Ethan, in order for you to even be a functional half parent, not even a full parent, a half parent, you would have to go to serious rehab in order to get past this addiction that you have. Your anger issues, your rage issues would be nothing more than just devastating to a small child and devastating to their actual growth as people. You would literally do everything in your power to push that child away because you have no cognitive ability to raise anyone. Dude, I've seen your room in the sex tape. It was filthy. You've openly admitted that you don't even take care of your own property. You pay people to do it because you're too lazy to do it your goddamn self. I have 1.3 acres. Guess what, dickhead? I mow it. If I got to get on the roof, I take a leaf blower up there. I blow off the leaves. I clean up all the debris, right? We weed our yard. We mulch our yard. We mow our yard. We take care of our yard. It's our property. You paying some lazy guy in your, you paying some dude in your neighborhood to mow your damn lawn. It's not that big of a yard. It would take you 20 minutes. It would give you exercise. You'd be able to go out there and work off some of that freaking alcohol. But no, But no, are you going to pay someone to change your child's diapers 8 to 10 times a day? Are you going to pay someone to feed your child multiple times a day? Are you going to invest into the materials needed in order to take care of your child? Is Faith going to breastfeed, or is the child going to be bottle fed? If that's the case, do you know how much formula costs? Do you know how often you have to buy it? Do you know, like, diapers, how much that costs, and wipes and food? I mean, dude, you want to see how the money to support having a kid. In your mind, you don't even know the actual financial cost of not even like just looking after a kid, but the cost of actually of going through the birthing process. Faith doesn't have insurance. I guarantee you don't have insurance. What are you thinking? You don't have the money to look after a kid. You have money that you think will do it, but it will deplete your bank account so fucking quick because you make too much money in your state to probably qualify for Medicare, to probably qualify for low income medical help. Like, you probably don't get any of that stuff. Like, you don't think anything through. Like, you just, I'm just going to raw dog her and hope she doesn't get pregnant. Like, when you're challenged on it because you don't understand the fundamentals of being a parent, your response is, well, I've got the money. That's not being a parent. That's not being a goddamn parent, dude. That's just being a lazy ass. Anyway, the rest is all Vickers kind of going at him and whatnot. And it's really it's more of the same. I just really want to focus on what Ethan said there, because Ethan is just like, it's so bad, dude. Like, this is a guy who can't cook. He orders Uber Eats all the goddamn time. Like, his child bride made him like a what is it? Like a simple sandwich. And like, they, like, posted it on Twitter and everyone made fun of it. Like, he doesn't take care of himself. He's also said he's going to be dead by 50. So either he has a kid now at the age of 35 or 36, and he ends up fucking that kid up for their entire life, turning that kid into another version of Eric Cartman, or he's dead by 50 and then leaves that kid without a dad. Ethan knows a thing or two about being left without a dad, right? Here's the thing. I'm being honest when I say this. I'm being actually honest when I say this. Ethan wants a child, not because he wants to keep Faith locked down. He wants a child in order to validate his existence. He wants a child in hopes of saving his life. I'm not kidding you. He thinks, read what he said there. It's not a bad idea. He wants kids. He's wasted 10 years in other relationships. He doesn't care who he puts a seed into. He wants something that will validate his terrible, god-awful, shitty, gunty life. And that's it. Bringing a kid into this world is, quite frankly, the absolute worst thing he could do. It's the most selfish, despicable, immoral act that absolute fuckwit could do. It's so ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that he would even remotely consider that. Because here's the thing. He was being sincere. That was sincere Ethan. Selfish, conniving, duplicitous, deceitful, sincere Ethan. He doesn't care about Faith. This is a good time for Faith to have a kid. At 18? What if she wants to go somewhere? You going to sit at home and watch the kid? Like, you going to do your show when babies wake up every 2 hours, right? Faith is going to be tired and sleepy because she'll be with the kid. Are you going to come out from doing your show? Are you going to stop it midstream in a drunken stupor to head over to help your partner, maybe your wife, your girlfriend, look after the child that just had explosive diarrhea? She's exhausted. She's still recovering from the absolute immeasurable change to her body at the age of 18, at the time 19, still a teenager, a young woman who's still growing. Are you going to put down the Coca-Cola filled with booze in order to waddle your fat ass out there and take over a child? No. No, you're not. You're going to ignore it. You're going to ignore her. You're going to ignore the child until you want validation. And when you want validation, you'll hold it. You'll look at it. You'll post a selfie because to you, a child is not a person, a thing to love or anything like that. It's simply something for you to exploit, to get some kind of validation for your fucking loser life. That's all it is. You bringing a kid into the world will fuck that person up because you are a terrible individual who makes terrible life choices. And now you've drug an 18-year-old girl into it. You stupid fucking moron. The absolute fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ, man. I had my first kid at 35 too. And guess what? Scared the fucking shit out of me. But you know what? My daughter's 2.5. Love that kid more than anything. All I wanted to do today was spend time with her. I felt really, really shitty that I had to leave her and go off and do work. So I came back as soon as I could, picked her up, hung out with her, spent the evening with her, read her some books she likes, put her down to bed with her favorite stuffed llama, and hung out with her for a few before leaving. You don't have that in you because you're going to have to work on your show. And you're going to have to work on everything, and you're going to have all these other problems and all these other distractions because that is you. You are a selfish, infantile person. You have no other thought in your mind but your own. You don't want a kid because you want a kid. You want a kid because you want something to validate you, which, you know what's really funny about that and why this probably angers me as much as it does is because that 13-year-old girl that wanted me to get her pregnant when I was 15, that was her exact reasoning as well. She wanted something to validate her existence at that age, showing you the exact maturity she had at that age. You are no different than her. You are absolutely fundamentally nowhere near as emotionally developed as you need to be to rear a child. And to even talk about that with this young girl's father from any kind of aspect of sincerity is a load of shit. Get fucking help. Yes, Cocaine Cowboy. Gator would become a de facto dad. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, that was my rant on that shit. It fucking angers me when people have kids and they don't want kids. It just angers me because it's selfish. You know, someone like that's incapable of actual love because they're so fundamentally broken as a human that they drink themselves to death, that they smoke nothing but cigarettes and weed and vape or whatever the fuck it is, that they dope themselves with their parents' mother's pills, that they get drunk on camera 5 nights a week to an audience of absolute neats, most of whom probably wouldn't be let near a child in any capacity. Do you really think that that person would be able to functionally raise a kid? Hell no. Hell no. Not one goddamn bit. Anyway, let us go to calls because again, I'm only going to be on like another 45 minutes. So, there's a link right there. All right. Depth charge. What's up, man? Thanks for waiting. I know you wanted to get on the other night, but we were talking for a while.
Well, yeah, y'all talked for a very long time, and I had to check out because Texas, we are 2 hours, gosh, ahead of you, right? Because it's 12:28 now, and so it's only 10:28 for you, right?
Yeah, it's a little early
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister and her husband live in California, so when I call them, and I call them a lot more now, actually, with what's going on in Los Angeles, just to see how they're doing because it's crazy times. So I call them actually a lot more often than I used to, which is good, to connect with people. I've been doing that a lot since the world literally became upside down in March.
Yeah. Do you think that right now is a good time to procreate a child? And
Well, I
just in
mean,
general, just in general.
well, in general, I mean, if you can support it, and I would say yes, if you can support the child and it's going to be a good environment for the child. But I mean, we can't use COVID or you know the suffering in the world as an excuse. I mean, like, but for the story you're describing, the individual you're describing, I would say, and I don't know too much about Ethan. I've only watched a little bit of his content off and on over the years. I mean, it doesn't sound like it would be a good situation for the child in that situation. But I would just say it just depends.
Yeah. I think for most people right now, it's not like the best time in general.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, on the other hand of that, like when you have a kid, like when you have an infant, you don't go anywhere anyway.
Well, yeah, we got to procreate the species. That's the thing. Japan, their population's falling, and so I mean, in
So is
America,
Norway. So is
is it
Norway.
is it really? I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those Ukraine's population is falling. I'm sure it has a lot to do with their immigration policies, which are pretty strict.
Well, then
And
again, I mean, then
yeah,
again, it's like you have countries like Norway, which has
hmm
immigration policies that are relatively open.
are they? Yeah,
Yeah,
hmm
it's like that in Sweden. They're kind of like, that's
yeah.
what they want to see a boom to the people. But Japan, I think, is like the big
Well, Japan is
is the big
very
one.
strict. They're very strict on immigration. Like I couldn't become Japanese unless I got like won the lottery, basically. I'm very envious though of Japan because in their big cities, they're not dealing with what we're dealing with in our big cities. With the drugs and the nonsense in Portland and the Chaz chop in Seattle. Like they're not dealing with that, and I'm very envious of that country.
Well,
And I,
they're not dealing with that specifically, but they're dealing
mhm.
with other issues.
They have plenty of
So
other
they
issues too.
play, yeah,
They have a high
yeah.
suicide rate, right? And males just kind of check out and just tune into anime and technology and don't get married and have kids. That's why they have a falling population. Their GDP is only what
I mean, like I
one
don't get.
percent.
Yeah, I don't get that, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
even with technology makes having sex easier,
You
right?
think
Like
so?
technology. Okay, so it doesn't. Let me just, I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain that. So it's like
Sure.
in regards to, let's say, connecting with people for like
Yeah.
a little bit of brown chicken, brown cow. Yeah,
Yeah.
technology absolutely helps. The problem is that people don't understand that there has to be a disconnect
Yeah.
between the technology and the person and the communication. And we tend to not teach that like really in any culture anymore. It's like
Yeah.
everyone's on their phone. But interestingly enough, on like let's say America's side with like Tinder
Yeah.
has actually led to a rise in indiscriminate sex. So
Has it?
people are still
Yeah.
having sex. But the
Yeah.
thing is like, and people are just looking for hookups, but it's not teaching the concept of, and I don't even
Yeah.
know if I should say teaching, or enforcing maybe is the best way for it, but enforcing the idea of like actual meaningful relationships. I know
Yeah.
that, you have a lot of your trad cons that will come out and be like, well, you shouldn't really like have sex till marriage. Like, fuck that shit. Fuck all you want. You know what I mean? Like, have sex. Okay, you need to have sex. Like, I think it's good to like know what you like and to know what other people like and to be able to adapt in those situations because that's going to help lead to a long lasting relationship.
Well, but we gotta be prepared for consequences, like
Well,
STDs and pregnancies are a thing, and
true, but like I mean,
got
but
gotta
wear a
gotta be
condom
prepared.
and be prepared, and you can eliminate that like quite
Oh,
heavily.
it's very cheap to prepare for, or to potentially stop those consequences. But
It
unfortunately,
is, but people forget.
as we're learning with these mask policies, like people don't really want to follow these policies, and when they do, they don't follow them in the way that we're told to. I mean, I go to the store. Are people wearing masks correctly? Of course not. They don't wear them over their nose. Why? I mean, why should we want to? It's inconvenient. It restricts our breathing. This is a bunch of nonsense. They can
Yeah,
try all they
I
want. They can try all they want to treat us like children, and we're going to act like children.
what cracks me up though about everything with the with the masks is like, yeah, when I go to the store and I see
Yeah,
people like with it, like they
yeah,
don't have it over their nose, and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, okay, like, because I'm doing the census stuff, so I have to wear the
Yeah.
mask,
Right.
and I think that's,
Even when you're outside, or is it just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah?
I have
Oh
to wear it.
wow,
I have to wear it, like when I go talk
wow.
to people. So
Sure,
imagine
sure.
like a dude comes up who you don't know
Oh yeah,
on your property, and it's daytime in
yeah.
the summer, so like I'm
Right,
wearing my sunglasses.
right,
I've got a big Ninja Turtle mask on. They gave me
right, right.
masks, like, but they're like
Sure.
thick cotton, like white face mask. It looks like coming in from like you're coming in from like the mental ward or something like that, right? So I wear the Ninja Turtle one as like as kind of an icebreaker. You know, it's like
it kind of puts people at ease, right? Because it's fun, right?
yeah, it's like somebody, oh, I really like your mask. Okay, cool. It's kind of a thing,
right.
You know, and like, oh, this guy's clearly harmless. He's wearing Ninja Turtles on his face. I'm like, yeah, that's it. But no, I go to like the things people get a little bit up, they get a little bit freaked out. So like I went to this guy today and he was not having any of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I walk up there and I knock on the door, like all this weed just like pours out of his house, you know?
Yeah.
And this dude's a big fucking dude. And he's all like, you know, you walked past 2 no trespassing signs on your way up here. And I kind of like, I was already kind of in a bit of a mood. So I just went like, yeah, that doesn't really apply to me. Because it's true, it doesn't. I have the legal authority to walk on anyone's property at this point, provided it's in pursuit of the job, right?
Right.
And the thing is, I try not to, I didn't say just like that, but I was like thinking, I was trying to say like, you know, hey, it's just very quick or whatever. But this guy was like, I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with you. Please get the hell off the property. I'm like, yeah, dude, hey, no problem. Like you told me to leave, I'm going to leave. But the thing is like, the thing is every American is actually legally required to respond to the census.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know to what capacity I have the ability to kind of enforce that. Right.
Yeah.
So it's, and I don't really want to, like, if I, like, this guy would kill me in a heartbeat. This is the kind of thing. This is like one of those big dudes.
Are you allowed to be armed when you're
no, I'm not allowed to be armed. I'm not allowed to carry. Yeah. I can't carry.
Really?
I can't carry pepper spray. I can't carry any kind of like any kind of self-defense. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I'm like, and I go to some of these places, dude. I went out to a place yesterday that was, I literally thought I was going to die. And I get to this person's house and it's, there's no one there. I look at my case notes and my case notes say like, you know, people have attempted and they're like, oh, no one is here, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I'm walking around and it's like, there's a house and there's like, maybe, I don't know, 10 cars that are just like in various states of disrepair, a couple like camper trailers. And then like the house itself. And I'm walking towards the house to knock on the door. And I look down and I see a burn pit, like right in front of the garage. And there's like this bone. It looks like a elk bone or something like that, or a deer bone, right? It's like a pelvis bone or something from something big. It wasn't human, but like my first thought was, oh fuck, you know, like, oh shit. Cause this is like the sun's starting to go down. It's like the end of the day sort of thing. And I feel like I'm walking into the hills have eyes. Yeah. And so I walk around the whole place. Again, it's trash. It's demolished. It's just tore up. And I look at, I'm walking by one of the camper trailers. Maybe there's someone in there. You never really know. And I'm like, hello. And like, no one's answering. And I can kind of peek inside the camper trailer. And again, like it's just demolished. And then on the door, someone had scribbled at Donna's BRP. Like, and I have no idea when it was written. So I just marked it as I was there. I left my notice of visit and I left and I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm going home. But you get like, you know, most people I've met are pretty chill. Like, you know, they just want to be done with it and move on. But you get some stubborn people. And those are the ones I get kind of worried about, because if I got to go to their property and they don't want anyone there, like, you know, I'm afraid someone is going to pull out a gun. Like they're going to see someone coming up. Like I wear bright clothing. I wear very bright clothing when I go out.
Are you required to?
No, I do it. Sure. I wear like a bright t-shirt or a bright polo or something.
And real quick, like who's the one that tells you that you can't be armed? Is that a federal thing or is that just a local thing?
That was them. That was in my training. I'm assuming it's probably a federal thing.
Really?
I'm assuming it is. But
really,
then again,
the feds. I'm sorry.
It's the federal government. It's the federal government. It's not necessarily like, it's weird. I mean, again, like I said, most people are cool. The further out into the boonies I go, I get into Trump country, and it's unabashedly Trump country.
Well, that is I live in the country. Yeah. And it's, you know, I've seen one Joe Biden sign outside of anybody's house.
I live in the state capital of Washington. Yeah, I've only seen one Joe Biden sign, and it was hand drawn.
Right. And I've seen accounts on Twitter. I mean, take that for whatever it's worth. It's all anecdotal and cherry picked, obviously. But I've seen a number of posts from people whose jobs it is to tour the country. And they don't just go to, you know, Nebraska, and they don't just go to, I don't know, you know, Wyoming. You know, they go to Pennsylvania. That should be Biden country, and they don't see Biden signs.
Well,
So
I think in some areas,
from that anecdotal evidence, that's telling me like it shouldn't be close in
well,
November.
well, even when like in Washington, there was a lot of Bernie signs,
Yeah,
especially where I live. And then
yeah,
when Bernie exited, like,
and they're ticked, right?
well, I think they're ticked, but they're still going to vote. Like, I think,
But some of them are going to cross over to Trump. Like I don't know what
I
the
would think
percentage
they'd go
is.
third party. I think they'd go third party, which is
I think
essentially
this
the
time
same
around,
thing.
this time around, I think you're right that more would go third party than go to Trump. If I remember the percentage, it was a higher percentage that I would have dreamed of. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. The number of Bernie supporters who actually went to Trump and not Hillary or third party in 16. It was it was like 20% or some really high percentage of those who voted for Bernie in the primary actually voted for Trump in 16. I don't know if that's accurate, but it was higher. When I saw that number, I was like, no way. Anyway,
Well, I think, I mean, in the state of Washington, I already know it's going to go
mm-hmm.
blue. You know what I mean? It's really about swing states at this point.
But is it, think it's going to be more swing though than it was in 16?
Well, I think we're going to see, like, it's a possibility, again, slim possibility. Arizona could flip.
Arizona is
and Florida
swing.
could also swing to blue.
I don't think it will.
I disagree.
It'll be close. It'll be
only
close,
because
I don't think it's going to flip blue.
I think it only because unless they blocked it, and I heard there was some block of this, I don't know, so don't take my word 100%.
Sure.
But in 2018, when they voted in Florida for felons to be allowed the right to vote back,
oh gosh,
that's 1.4 million people that I don't think you're going to get as
felons who've gotten out of jail, though. I assume?
Yeah, felons who
Right.
have been denied the right to vote, because that was one of the things in Florida was if you went to prison in Florida and you lose the right to vote while you're in prison, when you got out of prison, you could reapply. And about probably 99 out of 100 cases, they were denied their right to vote back.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but like that bothers me.
Well,
like,
yeah, if someone has done their debt to society, I have no problem with them voting when they're out of jail. I don't. There are always exceptions, you know, and there's always the law is written and it's pages long. Who reads these laws that they pass? And it's just like
they don't even read the laws that they pass.
Exactly. Oh yeah. No, Thomas Massey is one of my biggest heroes. I kind of cringe when I say he's a hero because he's a congressman, but he documents on his Twitter feed all the time about just the bills they vote on and they don't even read. So he's really good about just nope. I don't know what's in that bill. Nope. He's awesome. Oh, he's one of 10 congressmen and senators that I like.
I really wish there would be more that would do that, to be honest with you. But quickly, let me get here. Cocaine Cowboy, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Saying, I don't know if the last message came through, though. Fellow census taker here. Did you get enough interviews to get that bonus? Thanks for exposing the gun. So for the bonus thing here, what he's talking about, we have bonuses for the census. If we maintain a it's like 0.75 cases per hour, then we can qualify for like a bonus. That's like an extra $100 a week, I think. I'm not too sure. This last week was my first full week doing it. My supervisor was telling me that he's trying to get me the bonus, but I'm sitting at a 0.92 cases completed per hour. And you got to be at 0.75. So I'm above the margin right now, because I'm pretty good when I get into it. Like if I can get in a groove, I can bust out like a bunch of houses pretty quick. So I don't know what the extra bonus is going to be. They did offer yesterday to send me to Spokane, Eastern Washington, for like a week.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, do you want to go to Eastern Washington? We're going to pay you all this stuff." I mean, if I wasn't in a relationship, I didn't have kids and I was doing this, I would go. I would make fucking so much money going out there for a week and working 12-hour days.
Oh, wow.
Because it would be like my normal, there'd be time and a half.
Those are my length of days, is 12 hours for my day job. And that's why, and let me just, and you probably want to get to another call. And,
I gotta route through. Yeah.
And you do your show on Friday and Saturday night. Is that correct?
I do them kind of whenever I'm available. Like right now, my schedule is kind of like whatever. Yesterday I was out like all day. They had me drive out to the coast.
Yeah.
And I was just exhausted when I got home. It was a fucking long day.
Yeah, but one thing I'd encourage you just to think about, you know, when you talk about it in your future shows, is just, I think the biggest political battles that we have, just in general, is just rules and regulations about stuff. And you know, you talked about the 17-year-old with the AR-15, you know, going across state lines. Like there are laws and regulations that go along with that.
Well,
we don't fully understand.
True, but and also what I found out now, what I didn't know at the time, but I know now, is he actually did not cross state lines with the gun.
Really? Right.
So what? But then my question then becomes,
Yeah.
who the fuck gave him a gun? Right? Like that's my question
I mean,
now.
and he is 17. He's not 18. But again, these laws are weird. Where like some laws kick in at 16, some laws kick in at 17, some laws kick in at 18.
Yeah.
Here in Texas, tobacco now you can't buy until you're 21.
Yeah, California's the same way.
What are we doing? What are we doing? That's nonsense. You can be in the military at 18, but you can't buy a cigarette.
Well, same thing with drinking. It's the same argument for drinking.
It's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
And so, but then also with masks, like rules and regulations with masks, like that. That's something. Those are two things I focus on a lot. Are just rules and regulations about masks and guns and other things too. But those are my top two right now, and they're really important because they affect our everyday life. When it comes, especially in masks, especially with masks, you got to wear it. You got to wear it, or you can't go in the store. You know, it's a new world. Anyway.
I agree. I agree. But yeah, man. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna get to the next couple of people. Thank you for calling in. It's always fun.
Yeah. Take care.
I like these kind of conversations because we can go back and forth for a while. So it's always good. Yeah. So thanks a lot, Depth Charge, and we'll talk again soon. Okay, man.
Take care. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Real quick before I get over to biohazards, I see in there Lex L here says we're basically being told not to not believe what we see with our own eyes. 39 kids are rescued from sex trafficking here in Georgia, yet barely any news on it. And yeah, man, I absolutely agree on that one, Lex. There's also another 25 kids, I guess, were rescued from some other operation. And that's a lot of kids that have been found. And yet it should be, to be fair, it should actually be the biggest story of the year, in my opinion. No question about that in my mind. This is a big deal. Sex trafficking is a huge deal. It's a big problem. I talk about it a lot on my podcast, The Milk Carton Mysteries, because some of those stories come up. And, you know, it's really something that, like, I get frustrated by a lot of, like, the QAnon people that still push this Podesta Comet ping pong nonsense when we actually have these 39 kids that were rescued that were going to be sex trafficked. Like, that is more of the story than some weird online conspiracy shit that's got no real basis in reality. And it's like, it doesn't get any coverage, but someone wears a Q fucking hat to a Trump rally, and then that ends up being in the news cycle. I hate the mainstream media. I fucking hate the mainstream media so goddamn much. Anyway, okay, let me see. Q is basically begging for martial law. Yeah, Q's psycho. All right. Biohazard, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, Matt?
It's going okay, man. Just chilling tonight. Fucking got some work to do once this whole thing is over, but I drank a coffee. So well, it's
there you go. You're ahead. Yeah, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, let me get 400. I like to go. This is the thing. This is what I like. I like to go to Starbucks. I like to get the cold brew because like their venti cold brew is like 450 milligrams of caffeine. Right? Because like I don't drink coffee, but I went there one day and I asked them. I said, "What is the strongest drink you have? What has the most caffeine in it that is guaranteed to fuck my shit up?" And they're like, "This drink," and I'm like, "On it."
for me, every day I start my day up, I usually have like well, I don't know, because my cups are big, right? So like think of like American sized cups of coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm having probably like 3.5 cups of coffee a day, because like I start my coffee machine when I wake up. I go hop in the shower, and then when I'm out of the shower, my coffee is ready. I grab my coffee. I drink like 2 cups. I go to the bathroom, and then off to work. You know, like that's my situation. And so I just wanted to touch on your last caller. Really good caller. I enjoyed his.
I like Depth Charge. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. I enjoyed his spiel, and he made a lot of great points. The one thing that I had issue that he was saying was about like the masks and stuff. And I get it, man. Like, I get it. We're all tired of fucking COVID. Like, we don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. I'm sick of it myself. But as far as I'm concerned, like, man, if you can wear your mask and it's not going to like make an issue against you, just fucking wear it. Because I know for a fact these companies, they get fucking mad complaints about people like, oh, I saw someone not wearing a mask. I don't feel good about shopping in your fucking store, you know, because I saw like 2 people not wearing masks. So companies are like trying to protect themselves as best they can. And it's just easy if you could just throw on like a shitty fucking cheap mask, whatever. Like it's not doing anything. Even if it is, like hopefully it's doing something. If it's not, whatever. But I know for a fact, like companies, like they just want like maximize customers coming in, and a lot of customers complain about people not wearing masks and like, well, this guy reached over me and grabbed like a fucking can of soup off the shelf while I was standing there. He didn't have a mask.
Well, I get what you're saying on that one, and I do agree. Like, after my friend died, and I was really pissed off about it. I was at a Dollar Tree, and these people were like not wearing masks, and they were bitching about not wearing masks, and I said something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I said something about
Put it on
it.
if you can.
It was mostly I just went like, I just said like, I think that's really insensitive of you. A friend of mine just died from not wearing a mask. And the lady's like, well, if it's my time, it's my time. I'm like, yeah, he was a Trump supporter and he thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And he's still dead, and then she's like, well, whatever. And I'm like, like, no, he leaves behind kids and grandkids. And she goes, well, I have grandkids too. And I just, at the point I was walking away and I just looked back and I yelled out, well, I wish you the best or some shit like that. I was pissed. And here's the thing. I don't care. I jokingly said it was like a Karen moment. I didn't care. Or a Darren, whatever you want to fucking call it.
No,
like,
I get you.
Like you're at a store, like, look, in my county, the cases are low. All right, fine. The cases are still under 1,000 total. It stayed at like 100 for a couple months. It was low. Like, I get it. The shit spreads. Fine. But it's like wearing a mask, and this is just simply my opinion, it's not the end of the fucking world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you
I
can
can
breathe.
get away. Yeah.
You can breathe. It's not a problem. If anything, if you want to look at it as this being security theater, then let it be security theater. Let someone else have peace of fucking mind. Like, is it such a big fucking deal to you to not cover your fucking face for like 20 minutes while you're in a goddamn store?
Yeah.
That people are going to be afraid of you. They're going to be afraid of you. And we are going to get to a point, because it is going to escalate. We are going to get to a point now where people are just going to start shaming, like publicly shaming people who don't wear masks. And in my town, recently that happened. And the dude who got shamed pulled out a fucking gun. He pulled out a gun because people were saying put on a mask. Even in the state of Washington, in Yakima, right at the same time, another woman at another store went up to a guy who wasn't wearing a mask and told him put on a mask. That dude pulled out a knife and he cut her fucking throat. You know what I mean? Like, this is some shit.
Crazy. Like this is basic. Like, this isn't it should not be politics, because like if you look at most places in the world, right, like you go around the world, you go to like especially Asian countries, they understand this shit. They're like, oh yeah, there's a fucking virus on the loose, we're out, right? So they're wearing fucking masks, and that's like, if you're not wearing a mask, you're fucked. Like they look at you as like some kind of fucking retard, right? Whereas like what's going on in certain areas of the States is they're like, oh, this guy's wearing a mask. He's like, I don't understand it. Like, it's a scientific issue, but it's made political in the United States.
Well, it's made political in the United States because people out there have an anti-government sentiment, and believe me, I have been encountering people with anti-government sentiments, and stuff, and in the last week. So it's kind of opening my eyes a little bit, and I'm trying to be understanding, and I'm trying to be sympathetic, because even though I'm tasked with the job, I understand why people have trepidations against it. Like, I get it. But it's like, my question then becomes like, how do you convey that to someone in a way that they're going to understand where you're coming from? And in many cases, it's not even about the science. It's not even about people, because people don't pay attention. The people that are generally not putting on their masks are the people who watch Fox News, not Fox News during the daytime, where it's actual news.
Well, I don't know.
We're talking the opinion shit.
Well, I don't know. Like, no. when I see these protests and Antifa, it's like, it's just like it's there to cover their fucking face. It's there to cover their face when.
Well, it's always been there to cover their face, but I mean, at least you know what? At least they're following the law on that specific thing, right?
I mean, they're ripping it down when they want to make like a fuck Trump fucking speech or spiel. Like that's what I noticed. Like people don't fucking care, and that's fine. Whatever, man. Like that's you guys. But look at the rest of the world and look at what they're doing and look at the success that they're getting, because the numbers are lowering like across the world, and there's only like a few countries where it's like fuck it, right? And states are one of them, unfortunately, right?
Well,
And
I would
I
hope
love the states.
I would hope that, and I've seen this out of Trump. He's kind of now taking a different approach to masks. And as a result, his base that were anti-mask there have been quite a few that have now become more pro-mask.
Yeah, just put it on for
as a result
little,
of that. Yeah, as a result of that. And I'm like, that is something I can get behind. I just get frustrated when it's like you go out to the store and it's like, this is not like the first couple weeks of this shit, right? It's not the first couple weeks. We're 6 months in almost.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is not like uncommon. Now, if you're still doing it now, you're being a dick. That's the way I see it. You're being a dick for no other reason than you just want to be a dick. And people are going to start calling that shit the fuck out, because people are going to get aggravated, and it's going to lead to some violence. It's going to lead to some attacks. There was a video I saw out of an Alaska Walmart where they booted a guy out and he like lost his shit over the mask. Like he just he's like in their face, like, you're trying to deny my constitutional rights or whatever. And it's just all this shit.
Like I get it. I get it from that standpoint. Like it's kind of an infringement upon your freedom, but like
how is it an infringement? It's not an infringement. It's just saying like, it's not you're not being stopped from going anywhere. You're not being stopped from saying anything. It's just telling you to like put something on, like if you wear a condom during sex or a fucking raincoat when it rains, you are akin to putting on items of clothing to protect you from something.
Well, like here's why I think like people, because they don't think it's like a big deal, and that's fine. Like I don't think it's that deadly. My issue with it is like I don't want it to become endemic, right? I don't want it to be like a flu that's going to hang around every year from, like this point on forward, right? Like maybe we could snuff it out like early if we all fucking work together, right?
We could get it under control, but let's be realistic, and then I'm going to move on to the next call because I do want to keep this short tonight. But the realism of it is this: in our country, in our society, and it's not just us here in the States, but really is the world over, people don't respond or react in the appropriate way until it affects them.
Yeah, but the rest of the world's doing fine.
The rest of the world doesn't have their head up their ass. You know what I mean? Like, and they do in many cases, but like for right now, okay, you have to look at it like this. People go, oh, look at South Korea. South Korea has a population of like 50 million, 25 million are in Seoul. Okay.
Yeah, they're fucking worried about it.
And they are worried about it. It's seeing a resurgence. It's seeing a resurgence. We live in a country with 330 million people and vastly spaced out in many cases and vastly different opinions. And it's at a time when you've got the leadership of this country was more or less like pushing back against the data and saying things like, well, if we would just close down the testing or cut down on the testing, we'd start to see fewer cases.
Of course,
It's like, I mean, I kind of get the logic, what he's trying to say, but the optics of what he's actually saying is it would look less bad for me if you guys would just slow the fuck down on the testing. Well, that's what it is.
Well, like here's an example. Like I live in Canada, right? And in Canada, like we're getting a lot of low cases. Obviously, we're not testing as much, so there's like a discrepancy. But there's also a population discrepancy as well, right? Like there's a big difference in population. But like most people that I see when I'm out and about, like they're like, yeah, I want to put on my mask. I don't want to, like there's no political issue about it, right? Like we understand that. It's like, let's just tough it out. Let's fucking put the mask on. We'll get through it quicker this way. Like flu season's coming around the corner. It's like, it's going to fucking suck, man. And what sucks is that the States isn't taking care of it. And the rest of the world seems to be doing their best to take care of it. And if the States doesn't take care of it, like that fucks the rest of the world over. It fucking sucks.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
we're meant
we're meant to lead the world, right? We're supposed to be the leaders of the world, or
Yeah, I
you
love
know,
the States, man. I
and
think the States are
and we're
amazing.
failing on this front. We're failing hardcore. All to win political points because it's an election year,
Probably, yeah.
there's been a massive failure in leadership, not just from the Oval Office, but from Congress and from the Senate, and from local government. And it's not, again, it trickles down. It's not just governors, it's mayors, it's sheriffs, it's all of these elements that are like, people could do their part to help. People could, but instead they choose to dictate based more upon party lines than what the data is telling us. And then it's, again, fake news is out the ass saying it's like not a big deal. It's like the common cold, it goes away.
And,
it's like,
well, even that aside, like I'll make one more like interjection point that I have to say is, for example, like when people were like, let's reopen America, and they had those kind of protests. The news was like, oh, these people are fucking retarded. They're all stupid. But then when BLM fucking protests happened, they're like, oh, these are okay. These are fine. It's like, no. We're in the middle of a pandemic. None are okay.
No,
Like,
I know. That's
like,
the thing.
What the fuck is going on in your country?
The Democrats, the left, are afraid of themselves. They're afraid of angering themselves, and the right wingers don't generally care about angering the left, but the left fears that if they anger, okay, it kind of works like this. And this is my take on it, and then I do have to let you go. But more or less, the idea is this: Republicans will vote Republican pretty much regardless, right? They're kind of they're in it. They're in it. That's their thing. Democrats are afraid that if they piss off other Democrats by trying to hold them to better standards, or maybe to downplay when the mob grabs the torches and the pitchforks, that those people are not going to vote Republican, but they're going to vote third party. Because the third party is a great idea. I love third party, but let's be fair. In an electoral universe or an electoral system like we have here, all it does is benefit the right, because it takes votes away from the left more often than it takes away votes from the right. And so it ends up hurting in that regard. And that's the problem, is like the leadership on the left, the rational center people on the left, need to actually say, shut the fuck up to a lot of these people. Like, all y'all being a bunch of Karens, you need to chill the fuck out, and we need to work on actually benefiting everyone here. But they don't, because they're deathly afraid of what will happen. They're afraid of the blue check marks on social media. They're afraid of the blowback from different articles, the stuff that wouldn't impact the right wingers if they attacked the right wingers, but it would impact the left because of some kind of fucking lame ass moral purity test. And it sucks, because I am a left-leaning individual and I see this shit constantly, and it's just like, you fucking morons are always fucking shit up.
Well, like I think people need to fucking move a little more to the center and fucking just learn to accept the bullshit on both sides, because I don't know, man, like the extreme sides of both sides are not working out, man. Like, you guys are just tearing each other apart.
Well, I mean, I would say
really
that the
fucking bad.
Extreme on the left, they've got
worse. It's gotten extreme.
Well, I mean, statistically speaking, right
sure.
wing extreme terrorism in this country, right wing domestic terrorism, is still taking far more lives than left wing extreme terrorism.
Well, they're more efficient at it, but like it's less. It's not happening as much. Or like,
well, it's not
every night. You
have
have these Antifa fucking propagating in all these fucking cities.
I agree, man. But you know what?
If
though,
they weren't there.
But still, a right winger. Okay, a right winger went into a Walmart in El Paso and gunned down 23 people. You know what I mean? Like, a fucking. I don't support I don't support a lot of the protests at this point. It's like, the shit's got to stop. You know, I'm not saying I don't support the violence, but it's like, they got to figure out a way to make this. Like, I'm from Portland. That's my hometown. You know what I mean? And like, Portland, so watching it every single fucking night just get blasted on social media as being this like Antifa haven. It's not like that, right? It's not a white supremacist haven. It's a city with people who work and raise families, and they just love being in Oregon. They love being in Portland. It's a great city.
I don't know. I watch all these protests, and every night, like, Portland's been the one that, like, they're out there every night, like, they're dedicated. They're a bunch of young people for the most. They're not doing anything crazy. It's not like remember when Chicago burned down? Like, Portland doesn't burn shit down. They just kind of annoy everyone, right? Like
well,
they're
it's
yelling
loud
in
and
the street.
it's consistent. And the thing is, though, is like there's been there's been a lot of right wing pushback on Portland as well. So it's not just left wingers showing up. You'll have right wing provocateurs come in, like Joey Briggs from Infowars. I think last year went to Portland, or maybe even 2018. But he like went to Portland to hold this rally with Proud Boys, and they were antagonizing the Antifa, trying to prompt a fight. What we come to find out is that the Proud Boys were working with Portland Police Department, coordinating with police, not department, but officers, with Portland officers, while they were also coordinating their movements from across the state lines in Washington. They were busing people in. They had caches of weapons in vans nearby in case an actual fight broke out.
I've never seen that. First off, and I like you, Matt, but I'm telling you, I think you're wrong on this. I've been watching the Portland protests for like 40 days. I've been watching a guy called Portland Andy, and he's on YouTube. He lives in Portland.
Are you talking about Andy No?
No, Portland Andy. He's from ICP2.
Well, because there's Andy No is one of the bigger ones, and he's a piece of shit. So it's like he's a fucking he's lied about so much crap. I'm not saying
I'm talking about like live protests. I'm talking
I know
every night that I've been watching, and it's been straight Antifa.
I know there's a lot of Antifa there.
Streets.
There's a lot of that shit there, dude. I lived
There's
there during
right wingers.
I was living there when Trump. Yeah, well, there were right wingers there last night.
The last one, and one got shot.
And one got shot, and I don't agree with that. Period.
Yeah.
But you've had in the past, you've had right wingers go to Portland in order to spark a fight with the other side. All right, they do that. They go there. They do that shit. Yes, Antifa in Portland has protested a lot, and generally it's annoying. There's some vandalism, some destruction of property. It's not always like that. I'm saying that there's a fair amount to where, again, I don't agree with any of it. But I was there when Trump got elected, right? When they did the "Not My President" protest. I went down there and saw it firsthand. And it was a bunch of young kids that were down there. They don't have any leadership. The leadership in Portland, I admit, Ted Wheeler, the mayor, dude, he's got to fucking go. What the fuck is he doing? Nothing.
He's not
fixing anything because they don't trust him. He's trying to be an ally to people who don't trust him because he controls the police. But the police still have a job to do. The police still have prerogatives of their own that they have to maintain. So there's a lot of this political, bureaucracy shit. And then Trump sends in these officers, like I think it was border. It was Homeland Security, wasn't it? I think that's what it was. And that's all fucked up. And the thing is, at some point, Kate Brown, the governor of Oregon, I think is going to have to send in the National Guard. I think she's going to have to do it. And I think it's the right call to do, to be honest with you. I think it's the right call to do to make it a stalemate, a ceasefire for a time where maybe there can be some kind of discussion with Antifa to go, what the fuck do you want to make this go away? Right? Like, what do we have to do to make this go away? Because it's at this point, either they have to go in and they have to arrest everybody. They're going to have to fucking institute, I don't want to say martial law, but they're going to do something, because eventually the people in Portland are going to get pissed off because they're being labeled shit that they're not. Right? Like, the people in Portland, dude, 9 out of 10, good, honest, hardworking people.
Yeah.
Right? It's my fucking hometown. And they get labeled all of this shit, because you have some fucking idiots out there that
it's a pretty big communist cell there, though.
It's not even like that. It's fucking,
they're
minuscule.
Pretty commie there. There's a lot there, man.
There are
every
people
night for like 90 days.
But how many many people are in Portland as a city? Well over 1 million.
How many people, like, what's the average person go out to protest? Like, if you did that per population, it's like 1% of people actually protest.
1% of 1 million people.
And it's all commies.
Is 10,000. So you're thinking like, if at most it would be like 0.001% of the city, of the population. The problem is that what happens is you watch people that go out there, and that you have people that go and they look for the absolute worst that they can see. And there is shit out there that's bad that the city needs to work on. But the narrative that gets shown more often than not is in the negative. It's just more protesters out there. I follow the Oregonian on Twitter. I follow Portland police on Twitter. I watch their
Yeah.
feeds nightly. I see what's going on. And again, as an Oregonian, born and bred, I'm like, fucking, that's embarrassing. Because like the thing is, the people in that city, they don't want it.
Well, I will say one thing is the protesters don't tend to prioritize property damage like the Oregon people that protest. They're just yelling in the streets and like just annoying people, like for the most part, because they're mostly white, so they're not like fucking trying to be violent. And the Oregon police are very good.
I don't think
at
that's a fair
running them
statement.
down.
I think a lot of the people that have been violent have been white. So it's not
Well,
like
it's like 90% white there, man. So of
it's
course
not
they're gonna
90.
be
No,
white.
there's a lot different of a demographic, man. Fuck, dude.
I hardly see white. I hardly see black people down there, and I've been watching these.
Are you talking
protests
about
for
the
like 90
population of Portland, or the people going to the protests? Because again,
People going
we've
to the protests.
we've established that it's
not
a very
many
small.
blacks.
It's
mostly whites,
there are
anarchists,
there are a lot
Antifa.
there are a lot of white people that are there. But again, to sit there and try to equate it to being the entirety of the city or like the idea of the city, it's a very diverse city. It is. Not everyone's going to get involved.
And the riot police are good at their job there.
The riot police, they
have a lot of experience.
I've watched them.
I've seen them.
I've
They
firsthand.
walk them down.
I've
they
seen them
walk them
firsthand.
down and get them tired. Like I've seen them walk them down. They kettle them in the corner. They get tired and they're like, "Oh, I gotta sit." Like I'm watching the live streams of it.
Yeah,
I've been
no,
watching it for like 90 days.
They're trying. Yeah, they're trying to. They know what's going to happen. They go out there and they do their job. They have training for it. I get all that shit.
Yeah, they're good at it.
But
nobody
again,
gets hurt.
And that's a good thing that no one gets hurt. You do have your provocateurs that end up causing a lot of the problems, and same thing you saw on Chop
the other night, where somebody got shot, killed. Right?
Yeah, and and I saw videos of Trump supporters before the shooting, pepper spraying crowds as they were driving by. You have provocateurs on either side. That's the way you have to view this.
I'm not saying one side is better than the other. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
you should just stay the fuck home.
Fine. I'm okay with that. I fully support that shit. I think if you want fundamental systematic change in Portland,
vote Trump out if you don't want it.
Well, vote. It's not even voting Trump out in Portland. It's if the police are the problem, who controls the police? The fucking mayor, right? The mayor who hires the chief of police. The mayor is who dictates a lot of a lot of the initiatives, right? What they do. So you get rid of Ted Wheeler. You get rid of Ted Wheeler.
Shit. Like he's not doing anything.
He's not doing. He's playing both sides. He's absolutely playing both sides.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't like that because it's like you can't be in this situation. What you need to sit down. Okay. Because for one, the people of Portland, you know what? They're going to come out and they're going to vote here pretty soon. And I have a feeling it might be somewhat detrimental to Portland because they are the ones that have been caught in this that they don't want to be a part of. And they're the ones that are going to want to see some kind of structural change. And Portland has been known for protests, but never this length of time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's like 90 plus days.
Yeah,
man.
it's insane.
Seriously.
And so the people in Portland are going to go vote, and we're going to see some interesting results come that day. Yeah. And I'll be very interested to see what happens, and I'll be watching and talking about it. What I want to see out of this is like the leadership of the Antifa or the count of the protesters, because they're not all Antifa. Again, it's like a mishmash of different things. The community organizers that want the structural change, it's like they need to sit down with the city council and like work this shit the fuck out. And then it's like the city's got to find a way to calm it the fuck down. But the problem though is like this, is that they're getting the attention, good or bad. They're getting the attention. So that just propels them to keep going with it. And it propels the MAGA parade to happen, which is clearly done as a counter protest, as a way to also be agitation. Like there's no way, and I'm serious, that any person who was waving a MAGA flag last night, driving a truck through Portland, didn't go in there thinking that they're not going to piss off some left wingers. Not one of them. They knew exactly what they were doing and they did it. And few of them wanted to fight and a few of them found it. And so it's like you got both sides now that are agitated. And I do think a lot of it comes out of Kenosha. I think Kenosha was a bit of a thing.
They want a tit for tat.
I think we're going to see, I think we are going to see more escalation, which is only then going to push in again to National Guard coming into these cities and absolutely locking it the fuck down, which at that point would showcase that we have gone beyond the fucking pale.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen, man. Like people are gonna start fucking like. It's one thing if it's like gang violence, you getting shot because you're selling drugs in the wrong area. It's another thing if it's like you're just wearing a MAGA hat and you're getting shot for that. Like I think that's not gonna fly. And I mean, it should be the other way around too. Like if you're wearing like a Biden shirt and you get shot, that's fucked up. You shouldn't be shot for that. And that's why, like, I'm glad I live in like a place like Canada where we don't fucking care about politics because they're so dry and boring. Where if somebody wore a Trudeau shirt, like nobody would give a shit, right? Like nobody'd try to shoot him. But in the States, if you wear a fucking MAGA hat, you're an assassination target. That's fucked up, man. You guys need to settle that shit fast. Or let it get worse really fast so that they settle it fast. One or the other. Because things aren't going to change unless like fucking people start dying. I think like it's fucked, man.
We have 3 in the last week.
Yeah,
we have 3, and how bad?
It's bad.
And what's going to happen next week? Right?
I hope it clears up, but I don't think it is.
Let's be real. Let's be fair, and then I will let you go. But let's be real. It's not going to fucking calm down. Now there's blood in the water. Literally, there's dead bodies. Literally.
What happens if Trump wins again?
I want to ask. I don't know. If Trump wins again, it's going to be a lot of the same. Nothing's going to change.
It's just going to get like what's going to happen like that week after he gets elected, like after it's confirmed. You know,
hey, good night, Lexel. Thanks for coming on in. It's if you know, there's going to be protests like there were last time.
Yeah.
And then people are going to get the fuck over it and they're going to move on again. You know, what it is like, I think come winter, the protests are going to slow down. I do.
Yeah. Cause it's cold.
Once the rainy season hits fucking Portland, which is not, it's coming pretty soon. Once the rainy season hits Portland, it's going to calm the fuck down. Hey, at least nothing can burn when everything's soaked, right? So there's that.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Well, they'll find a way. They'll be like, oh, really? You know what?
They'll just put accelerant. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll do some shit like that. Unfortunately, I just think if they want to get to a solution, then they need to get to a solution. If you know they don't want a solution, neither side wants a solution. What they want is to be right. And the thing is in order, you know what, to get out of these situations, compromise is the key. And if neither side is willing to budge, then the shit's going to continue and more people are going to get hurt and more people are going to die. And then the rest of us are going to sit here bitching and moaning about it on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it. But we're not going to go down there. I don't plan on going to any of the Portland protests. I have no reason to go.
No, don't go down there.
No, it's like, I don't want to get fucking shot or fucking beat or whatever. It's like, and I'd be down there probably more on the side of the protesters in spirit, not in action, in spirit for the idea of reform. But at the same time, I don't support any of those actions of destruction of private property or the injuring of people. So I won't go down there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be down there, even if it was like I would just be like, yo, fuck this, man. These people are fucking crazy. And I'm just going to wait till things kind of mull over, you know, like the government's going to fucking have to do something. And that's with people doing stuff or not.
Yeah, no, I know, man. I know. But anyway, I'm going to let you go, dude. We've been on this for a while. I want to get to the last guy. I have a feeling I know who it might be.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk again soon. I'm dudes all the time. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Gotcha.
Have a good one.
Night.
That was a fun one. All right, let's get to the last one here because I am over my limit right now. 8 speech. What's up, man?
That's hate speech.
God damn it! I knew it was you. I knew it was you.
Hey, what do you mean?
I knew it was you. God, it's fake Sargon. What's up, man?
I'm not fake Sargon. I don't know who Sargon is.
You're kind of fake Sargon. That's okay. Everyone in the chat called you fake Sargon.
They did, and they're absolutely right. Fake Coach Red Pill was pretty good though, but that was the real Coach Red Pill.
That wasn't. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I brought up your name on the thing. I edited your name to say fake Sargon.
To fake what? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Well, I do what I can. I do what I can.
You know,
there we go.
Oh, the Census Bureau, they have huge bonuses for you. Do you really think you can make that much money working like 12 hours?
Well, no, you can't work 12 hours. There's a minimum of at least 20 a week you have to do. And that's
Yeah.
probably going to increase as we get closer to the end of September.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but like, you know, I went out for 8 hours on yesterday. I only did like 6 hours today, but that was because I just had other shit going on. But I get to pick my schedule, which is nice. So
Yeah, that sounds nice. We have huge bonuses, guys. We have the best bonuses in all the world. Nobody beats America.
nobody beats. Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't gotten paid yet for the bonuses, so I don't know yet how good they're going to be. But maybe they'll be good. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't know who was that last guy who was on.
Biohazard Fallout.
Yeah, man. I just think that when a right winger does something bad, it's okay. I think we should just kill left wingers.
Jesus. Clearly, no.
I think you agree.
I don't know.
Secretly.
I don't agree secretly. I don't want to.
know.
I don't want to
just means
kill.
you agree.
I don't want to
More
kill left
steps.
wingers. I don't want to kill right wingers. I want everyone to get along. I want everyone to smoke a lot of weed, and I want everyone to get into a gigantic orgy. I want everyone to get into it. I want everyone to fuck. I want everyone to like have the world's best tantric orgasm that lasts 6 hours, and you feel refreshed. You feel like you rebirthed from a cocoon of nothing but just like pleasure. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to fight nothing. I don't want to fucking do nothing. I just want to like chill out, dude, and like go about my day. That's what I want. I want everyone to fuck.
That's how we got in this mess in the first place. Because of all the hippies on the colleges
wasn't-
protesting the conservatives.
No, that's not necessarily true. And they didn't always fuck. I think conservatives need to fuck. I think conservatives do fuck. But conservatives need to, like, I think fuck more appropriately.
Yeah, I fuck hot bitches. Lots
Like,
of
I think they
bitches.
need to, I really think they need to get in there and like do some freaky shit. I'm not saying like a rim job, you know what I mean? Or like, what's it called? Blumpkin. Like not like a Blumpkin or nothing. Right.
Sorry,
but
did you say Blumpkin?
Blumpkin. Yeah. It's when you get a blowjob when you're sitting on the
man
toilet
bad?
taking a shit. No, it's a term for getting a blowjob while you're taking a shit.
That sounds disgusting.
It does sound disgusting because generally we tend to pee before we poo. I think no, we shit and then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's gross.
You're working out the order of how.
I'm
you should go
trying
the
to
toilet.
figure out the order of like
number
yeah.
one and number two. There's
I think it's
totally,
number
like, a
two.
clue
I
in
think
the
when
name.
I think you poo in it's number two then number one. At least maybe that's how I do it. But yeah, I don't want to get a BJ while I take a
So
crap.
you count down from two. is what you're
Sure,
saying.
sure. Yeah, I like to play it out like it's the 12 days of Christmas. I don't know. That joke fell flat. It sounded funnier in my head.
No, but yeah, no, I'm being serious. We just need to kill left wingers and even base Destiny. Base Destiny. He BTFOs Vosh.
Yeah,
He BTFOs liberals, and he wants to kill liberals.
I
in the
saw
street.
I saw
agree.
I saw
I'm
the
okay
Destiny clip. I
killing
saw the
liberals
Destiny
with
clip.
Destiny.
Yeah. Destiny's I saw where he's like, I don't fucking care
He's got a
anymore. Just like
couple
kill them all.
clips.
Like, wow, dude, you just you know
I
what?
agree with him though. He's
And
right
that's the
for
thing. And
once.
you know when I say everyone just needs to like fucking chill, like Destiny's girlfriend apparently, like if that's the one I'm thinking of, I've seen some pictures of a woman he's been with is like go be with her, dude. Like just but I get why Destiny is as frustrated as Destiny is, and I don't think he really BTFO'd Vouch, but I can see why people would think that.
No, it was who was it? It was Senk Ugu. He has his niece, his nephew.
Oh, Hassan Piker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hassan,
going at it, that was great.
Hassan, like I saw Hassan in person when I was at VidCon in 2018, and I was gonna like give him shit for something he had said, but like that dude is fucking huge. He's a beast. He's a very tall
And
guy.
Destiny the manlet BTF'd this tall guy. It's crazy. What a
Well,
tiny
I
woman.
mean, yeah, being able to Destiny has the superpower of being able to talk at like I want to see Destiny debate Ben Shapiro because it would be like listening to two chipmunks fight.
Ben Shapiro can bring the facts and Destiny can bring the logic of killing liberals in the street.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty fair point. I think can we set that up? Can we crowdfund that?
That would actually go for no. You got to do change.org. That's how these.
Oh,
things
get
go.
a change out of
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro versus Destiny.
That's
That
the
would be
only way to
fascinating.
do anything these days is a change.org.
I think if you guys want to see that in the chat, Destiny versus Ben Shapiro,
Type
press
one in
one.
the chat if you want to see Ben Shapiro versus Destiny. Oh,
That's-
Matt, I'm just seeing a sea of ones in the chat. It's ones everywhere. Oh my goodness, I'm being flooded by ones in the chat right now.
Thank you, Godwinson. I appreciate your candor.
Ooh,
So,
I'm washed by ones.
yeah. I love when he does that on a what's it called? When he does it on like a premiere. Premiere is pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, it's
Did you see the other clips?
no, I've been pretty busy, so I only saw like whatever was sent to me on Twitter,
Oh,
which
yeah, he called a black woman. What did he say? He said, "Does you being black have anything to do with you being a piece of shit?" I thought that was great.
wait,
He's Destiny. He's BDFOing black people now. Too.
wait, Destiny actually said that?
Yeah.
Is he trying to get canceled by the left? What is he fucking doing?
No, he might actually get canceled by BreadTube. It's crazy.
Oh my, he doesn't. I honestly think at this point he wants to get away from BreadTube. I think at this point he probably makes more money off of a more of a moderate audience. You know, because I think Vouch has the BreadTube side of things kind of covered. I mean, him and Shu were watching the RNC on D Live the other night, and they had like 13,000 people watching. So it's
On D Live,
on
the hate
D- yeah.
machine platform. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they went over to D Live for some reason. I think maybe because of
Yeah, why
copyright.
D-Live? What?
I don't know.
Oh,
They went
yeah.
over there and they did it, but they had 13,000
Does they
people
just
watching.
play videos or something?
No, they just watched the RNC and they just made fun of the RNC. So, anyway, all right, I'm gonna let you go, man. I'm gonna get to like there's one more person that jumped in. I'm just gonna talk to real quick. So,
Okay, I hope he kills himself.
anyway, fake Sargon, ladies and gentlemen, fake Sargon. I appreciate it. All right, I am gonna go for this. I'm gonna go for a few more minutes. Sandy Wim, how's it going?
Hey Matt, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Perfect. I'm good, thank you. I kind of just wanted to share an experience I had in high school with one of my friends who was a pathological liar like Faith. Like
Oh, okay.
exactly like Faith.
Sorry. I thought like so. Okay. So you know someone who's like Faith. Okay.
Yes, very like exactly. Like in high school, we had met in high school at the beginning. And we became best friends and it was really great. But she would always tell me things almost exactly to a T like Faith. Like her parents were abusive. She had at one time been sexually abused. Her parents just made her work a lot. And, I felt really bad for her. And anyway, we were good friends. And at the end of high school, I had talked with another girl that she was friends with. And I had found out that, she was saying weird things about me. Thankfully, none of them were like completely like fabricated lies like that, but just like experiences that we would have. She would just twist them a little bit to make herself like the victim in everything. And I didn't really confront her because we were going to go to college together to the same college. So I went and after the first year, she got a boyfriend and like kind of similar things started happening where she would like accuse him of abuse and stuff like that. And in my second year, I actually confronted her and then I told the boyfriend everything she had been saying. And, obviously from there we drifted off as friends.
Sure. That makes
And
sense.
she kept dating him. And the last 2 years of college, at some point they broke up. And in my senior year of college, he like came and he talked to me about things. And the way he described the situation was that he was basically being like hold hostage and that he was really scared that this girl is now going to accuse him of abuse and stuff like that. And I really think Ethan Ralph is kind of in the same boat where he knows he can't leave because for starters, she could file the charges for the revenge porn. So the second he steps out of line, it's going to be that. And on top of it, I don't know if you saw the message, or maybe you did talk about it. I just was able to join in like the last 20 minutes. But how like Victor's posted about them if they have a child together that she might stab him in the back. Did you see those messages?
Yeah. I talked about Ralph's side of it earlier because Vickers had some good points though. He had some really good points, but my approach. Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, it's going to be his karma, but still.
Well, yeah. Like out of all the things that he's done, that's his karma, and if whether or not you believe in it, I think it's kind of playing out in real time. you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like people know me. No, I vehemently hate this guy, and he's just like an absolute disgusting person.
Yes.
And I don't feel bad necessarily, but I pity, because what you have here are broken people, one far more
Mhm.
broken than the other, who like, I mean, effectively in a drunken rage destroyed any chance he had to be free,
Yeah.
by posting that thing. And then just like how he downplayed it to his audience, like didn't acknowledge it, that his part in it, all the other things that had happened. And then you just have
Mhm.
to kind of chuckle at the fact that he's still like, he's still behind the scenes, at least as of a few weeks ago, was trying to control it, was trying to do all these things. And then now it's like, he's just getting blown out constantly.
Yeah.
It's fucking like, I'm telling you, I never saw this timeline coming. Like, I never did.
2020's been wild, but I couldn't have guessed this, no matter how wild it's been.
No. I mean, like, so but with your friend and the boyfriend, did they end up breaking up, or are they still
Yeah.
together?
No, they broke up in the last 2 years of college. And that's, in my last year, he came to me and told me all that. We had like a really candid conversation. But there's, I guess, kind of a happier ending to the story. Was apparently in like the last 2 years, she had a mental breakdown. And 2 years after college, so a year ago, she actually messaged me and contacted me. And, keep in mind, she never said any very vicious lies about me or anything like that. But even I think a year ago, maybe I didn't understand really the consequences of the lies she was telling. And, it kind of took time to really understand like how serious those kind of things and accusations are, because they
Yeah.
never went to like, the police or anything. So I just, I kind of assumed no damage, no foul. But anyway, she came to me a year ago and she had gotten a lot of therapy, and we actually became not close friends, but friends again. And she has like this policy where like she doesn't tell any lies. And like when we talk, say like I'm like, hey, do you want to hang out tomorrow? And she's like, no, I have a headache. Like, and we end the conversation. I'll get like a call from her like 30 minutes in, and she'll like call me and be like, hey, Sandy, I'm sorry, I lied. I don't not have a headache. I just don't want to hang out tomorrow. I'm really sorry. And like to the tiniest white lie that everybody tells, like, oh yeah, you look good, or whatever it is.
Yeah, like, I
She's
really
like,
like your writing. It's fantastic.
yeah, something like that.
That's what
She'll
that's what
like
I've
call
been
me
told.
back
Yeah.
and be brutally honest, and
Yeah.
that's her policy. So whatever it is, it seems to have, we're not like the closest of friends, but it seems to have worked out for the best for her, anyways, because she seems so much more, happy than when I knew her in like high school and college. And from talking to her, I get the feeling that like she describes it like, no one. She thinks like she was so insecure that she thought no one would have liked her for the way she was. And she says that she thought if she like was a victim, people would like her, or like, I mean, she explained it a little bit more eloquently than I am right this second. But so I kind
Yeah.
of get the feeling that maybe Faith, I mean, it's hard for me to like assume that she's just malicious and terrible person. It could just be some mental problem like that. It doesn't
Well,
change their actions, but
yeah, it's like I told a story a long time ago, and it's been, people have tried using it against me. When I was 15, I was in church,
yeah.
and there was a girl there who had been converted by the pastor. He had like personally converted her family from Jehovah's
Mm-hmm.
Witness over to Christianity.
Yeah.
And she was, at one point she was working in the church nursery, and she really wanted to have a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
she came to me one day and she says, like, I really want you to put a baby in me. And I was 15, and I was all like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you don't want a kid. You want a baby. You want an infant. You don't want a toddler or 2-year-old, preteen, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she got really mad after that, and then ended up fabricating all these stories about me that ultimately led to me being put out of a church. And I don't mind telling the story, because my story hasn't changed in over 22 years. But people out there have tried taking my story and they've tried twisting it.
Yeah, I've heard like Dama Pizza.
Yeah. And it's like, I never, that situation legitimately fucked with my head for years. I didn't want to have kids, right? Like I didn't
Really?
want.
So do you think like if you hadn't been kicked out of the church and there was like no consequences for what she said, like say it fell on deaf ears, do you think it still would have had that serious of an effect on you?
I don't know. I can't tell you if it did or didn't. I was 15
Yeah.
and you know, like at the time, like we were friends and I liked her.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like I just like I was very taken aback by the situation. And then ultimately it kind of like it, for one, it completely killed whatever religious
Yeah.
feelings I had. I've
Mm-hmm.
never gone back to I've gone back I think twice, and that was just out of like courtesy, like for who I'm with, you know.
Yeah.
And but otherwise I've never bothered to go back to another church. I've never bothered to take place in any of that. I don't care. It's not my thing. And then yeah, I just was like after that I'm like, you know what? I don't want kids. I don't want to deal with this shit. And it took me a really long time to get over that. Actually, it took me having a kid at the age of 35, literally 20 years later, is when we had my first daughter. And
Mm-hmm.
I kept that was in the back of my head. I don't know why it fucked with me as much as it did, but it fucked with me until I held my daughter, you know,
Oh.
until I held her for the first time. And even when I held my second daughter a little over a year ago for the first time, you know, you just kind of all of those thoughts and feelings, those fears kind of go away. And I know when it comes to, let's say, someone like Ethan in the situation, whatever emotional and mental problems he has would probably go away when he holds his kid for the first time. I would grant him that because I
Yeah.
understand that. But there's
Mm-hmm.
but then you've got what comes after. And what comes after is what exactly I was warning this girl about is the responsibility. And at the time, being 15, her being 13, neither one of us would be able to have that responsibility. We would not be able to handle it. It would be a bad thing. I would have gone to jail. You know, there's a lot that would have happened had had I not been wise to the situation and been an
Mm-hmm.
idiot. So there are all those things. And then, but still, aside from that, it's just like the repercussions of the actions and the consequences of having a kid. I mean, like, you know what?
Yeah.
I today, for example, went out and I spent like fuck $150 on diapers because there was a good sale going on at Costco. So
Yeah.
I bought like a few months supply because you need them. You
Yeah.
really need them. And you know, I mean, it's like there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into having kids.
Are you
Um,
scared that your daughter might grow up that way? And let me
no,
preface this really quick with I knew this girl's parents just because, you know, we were best friends in high school. And anytime I was there, they were great. I mean, I would say the only thing, and they had both the mom, the dad. The dad was present. He was really good. I think the only thing maybe that they failed on was that, you know, I knew at the time that, you know, she used to talk to much older men while she was in high school. And again, it was kind of for attention. But and they didn't know about that because, you know, they weren't really internet savvy. No one was when I was growing up in high school. So I think maybe that would be their only fault was that they didn't keep up with her activity when she got older through high school. But honestly, they seemed like great parents. And when I found out that the things she had said were lies, then you know they were great parents, and she had a dad there, but she still ended up like that.
well, the truth of the matter is, I don't think I cannot honestly sit here and say that won't happen. You know what I mean? Like I don't think any parent could. You know, there's
Mhm.
clearly desires of not having it happen, and you work for it not to happen. But
Mhm.
there are issues like, you know, I think the key is to catch whatever it might be at an early age. And there's always going to be identifiers because children, like the thing I love about having a 2.5-year-old is every emotion is a real emotion, right?
Mhm.
It's all, she's happy,
Yeah.
sad, whatever. It's a real emotion. Now,
Mhm.
granted, after some time, that is going to change. There's going to be manipulation. And I think even now, she knows how to use certain emotions to get to elicit the reaction she might
Do you
want.
think she knows that she's real cute and she can take advantage of that?
I think to some extent, I think she is she can be devious when she wants. Like, but again, she's being truthful in how she's being devious, right? So it's like, you know what she
Okay.
wants. You can tell what she wants, but she the way she goes about doing it. Whereas my youngest child sits there
Mm-hmm.
and observes. She's a watcher. She observes everything. She's paying attention. Even my dad today said to me, he's all like, I noticed that she likes to watch. She just sits back and she observes everything. And so when that comes out, you're going to see it because she's now paying attention. So she's going to figure things out. And I'm all like, ah, shit. You know, because I'm really good at I'm a very observational person, and I tend to kind of work through things. And now I have to think about it from my perspective of like how I am and how then it's going to translate to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then also to be able to make sure that my worst impulses in regards to like personality and just my own shortcomings as a human don't then transfer to them. I have to be more aware. I have to be
Yeah.
more and then be proactive to try to make sure that it doesn't, like I'm a procrastinator. I hate it, but like I get distracted. My brain works at a million miles a minute. So it's
Yeah.
very easy for me to get distracted. I can see that kind of happening, I think, with my eldest daughter.
Yeah. Well,
She
that's really great that you can even see that because I think about Ethan and I'm like, I don't even know if he can, maybe once he has a child, but right now I don't feel like he can recognize his
no,
shortcomings
I don't
to
think he can
then
either.
save it from his child. And I think even if he had a child, like, I don't know if he'd be able to save the child from following into his footsteps.
I don't think he'd be alive to stop that from happening, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh,
And I
you're
say that,
right.
well, I say that because I use his own words. He said recently that he'll probably be dead before 50. And that's one of those things where like it's like ha 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 ha, right? But I'll tell you this though, it's like heart problems run in my family. My dad
Mm-hmm.
had a quadruple bypass when he was 43. I was 19.
Oh,
And so I always kind of feared that. And so I quit smoking at the age of 24. It's been almost 14 years. Next Saturday will be
congrats.
14 years. Thank you. And then I'm still paranoid about that. So it's like I I I go to the doctor. Thankfully I have full coverage insurance. So I go get checkups and they're like, "Okay, you've got high blood pressure. Here's some medication for that. Your cholesterol's a little high. Here's some, for that. I'm type 2 diabetic. I found out a year ago. So it's like I'm on the medication for that, but it's also regulated me, right? It's regulated me in a number of ways to where I've dropped a few pounds and I'm trying to monitor what I eat and how I eat. And so I'm taking these better steps now, because I've got about 5 years left until I hit 43. And I've always been kind of worried about having that happen to me as well. And so I'm like, again, looking at the genetics of my family and how this shit does actually kind of roll downhill, you have to then be proactive in how you approach your life. You look at someone like Ethan, and we jokingly call him, a human version of Eric Cartman. But it's true in more ways than not, because you can kind of tell based upon his attitude, especially if he's backed into a corner or if he feels slighted in any way. He then
Mhm.
lashes out. He lashes out in very vitriolic ways. He
Yeah.
has no problem like dropping any and all insult he can think of. He has no problem making absolute threats against like, doxing and putting people's family members out, out there in the public, in order to then draw harassment towards them. Like all of these just terrible, toxic, vitriolic actions that he clearly doesn't want to have happen to him, right? But
Yeah.
like he has no problem making the threat. So it's like when he's backed into a corner, when that ego gets bruised and it gets exposed, you can see it for what it is. But when he's timid and he's demure and he is not in that mindset, an entirely different person. But it's when he wants something that you can see it come out. And that's where what we have here is the addiction, and I believe also a lot of enabling on behalf of his mother, is I think
Uh-huh.
his mom enabled him. There's been some people, I've heard some people talk that like he was never really told no. And you can kind of tell that from when he was, how he acts. Like he grew up to be this adult version of what Cartman would be. And then think about what would happen if Cartman had a kid. Would Cartman raise a better version of himself?
No,
Or
just raising him.
would he raise an equal version of it? Would he find the same kind of sadistic nature? Would he find that to be hysterical, and would he encourage it? Or would he
Hmm.
recognize his own shortcomings as a person and do what he could to stop that darkness from rising? And I don't think he's got the cognitive ability to be able to stop the darkness from rising. I think that if he doesn't curb the alcoholism and the substance abuse and the fact that he aligns himself with white nationalist, pro-fascist, neo-Nazi fuckheads, that's gonna, circle into his life even more.
Yeah. Well, I have my own ideas on his politics and stuff like that, but I do think you're right and that people are enabling him. And like I saw a stream Dick Masterson had with Null, and Null was like, he's like, I felt like I was ganged up because Ralph called him a child predator and a pedo on the stream with Dick Masterson. Well, Dick Masterson told him no, but he also said something which I thought was ironic. He was like, Ralph, he was doing that because he was angry and I think he was hurt by you, and people lash out when they're hurt, and maybe I need to watch more of Dick Masterson, but I had watched a couple of his other podcasts, and previously he had called that woman behavior and like, just try to denounce it as, bad to just because you're hurt, you hurt people. He previously called that a very womanly behavior and just denounced it as bad. But when his friend was doing it, instead of just being like, hey, yeah, no, that was real bad of him to call you a pedo, he kind of tried to protect him. And I think that a lot of his friends are doing that. They're just protecting him despite any good reason.
Well, I think when you're financially tied to some people, whether it's, you're tied either financially or let's say socially,
Mm-hmm.
when there's some kind of parasocial relationship on that front, when you can get something from another person, you end up doing that, and I think, and I think like, that whole situation, like, is just, again, we live in a weird age right now where calling someone a pedophile is almost like, it doesn't mean shit.
It's the new Nazi.
It's the new Nazi. And it's like, but what people don't realize is like calling someone a pedophile, especially if it goes out to like any kind of off the internet type of discussion,
Yeah.
it can really do damage to somebody. So it's like,
burning.
yeah, I don't call people pedophiles. I really honestly don't. I mean, unless they are a pedophile, like there's that, but like, it just, the blatantly throw the term out there, I think.
Would you call Ralph a pedo?
No, I wouldn't call Ralph a pedo, because the thing is, like, not only, I wouldn't call him a pedo. He likes them young, right? Yeah. But it's like more, I think it's like a hebephilia than it is pedophilia. Mm-hmm. What it is you have to approach it from the perspective of he's aware enough that he doesn't go after them when they're 17. Now, does that mean that he's not attracted to them at the age of 16 or 17? No, he probably is. He probably is. Like he's the kind of guy that I think would look at like the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen countdown clock to being 18.
Yeah.
And wait for the clock to strike 0 and then slide in their DMs. Like that's the kind of, that's how I would view that, because then from a legal perspective, he's covered. And we all know when it comes to morals, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. But that's the kind of guy that he is. So I wouldn't classify him as a pedo because he doesn't seem to be attracted to that age. But he does seem to be attracted to those that are in their late teens, mid to late teens. And then I like to go back to this other theory that I've heard kind of tossed around, which is what if, and again, this is specifically a what if. I have no basis for this, but it's a what if. What if at this point, when it comes to, let's say, Nora being 18, Faith being 18, what I'd like to ask Ethan is I'd like to ask him if he ever dated in high school. I'd like to ask him if he ever was in any relationships in high school or even early college. I'd like to find out specifically when he lost his virginity, because all of these things matter and the context of their existence matters, because it all ties into who he is now. It all ties into how he is now. If he did not date anyone in high school, if he was shunned by the girls of his school, if he tried to go out there and meet women and it just failed miserably. And if you look at some of the photos of him from when he was a teenager, because they do exist, you know what? I was a gumpy ass teen too. I was a gumpy fucking looking teen. I'm a gumpy looking adult, but I was a gumpy looking teenager, and like, I didn't really date much. I dated a little bit, but not too much. And you know what? That still kind of stunted me for getting into the adult age, because I didn't have any basis of understanding of how it worked. Like I had knowledge of it. I'd gone on dates, but like nothing that was super crazy. So it does kind of stick with you after a while. So my question then is, did he put so much emphasis on that in his mind that this is what he's attracted now that he's of age and he can kind of like mentally work with 18-year-old girls, because that's kind of what he does, is it because he's trying to relive vicariously like high school. Is he trying to go back to claim a prize or to have an experience that he wasn't able to have 20 years ago? And
Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
I think if we were to dive into him psychologically, we would be able to uncover that as a motivation. Because other than that, like, and that's giving him literally the benefit of the doubt, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
I
giving
just
him
think
the
that's the only girls he can get. You know what I mean?
But even then, it's like, I mean, like, yeah, like, I mean, I'm 38 and I've had 19-year-old hostesses flirt with me, like, I don't know why, but they were. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm like, like, no, I'm like double your age. Like, what the fuck? Plus I'm in relationships, like not even anything. But like, I know that there's always, there is that like attractiveness level, or I don't want to say attractiveness, but there's like some younger girls that will have maybe daddy issues, will seek those kind of older gentlemen.
Yeah.
And then maybe in some cases, like there's a sugar daddy aspect to it, or maybe, there's that old theory about young women who have been sexually abused. Some will become prudes, others will become more promiscuous, because they're both either like, they're just dealing with the trauma in different ways. And so then those questions come out as well. And there's so much there to this onion that can be unlayered or unraveled, so to speak. And I don't know at all. My knowledge is limited, but when I look at Ethan, and don't get me wrong, I hate the guy, but I want him to get better. You know what I mean? I want everyone to get better. Like, I'm not a fan of Mr. Medicare, but I heard he had cancer, and that's fucking terrible. Like that's he's got a fair amount of time left, based upon, I looked up what it was, but it's still, I mean, I don't fucking wish that on anyone. That shit's that's terrible, because that's knowing your mortality is, that puts a time clock on it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. So I don't want any of that shit. But you have to have these guys, they have to identify what's broken. We all have to identify what is broken in our lives, why we are the way we are. One of the things that kind of put me in the position where I was 2 years ago was I stopped being me, right? I started being this version of me that I thought people wanted. And I didn't, because I wanted to be seen as a professional. I wanted to be seen as because like my schooling, my education, and how I viewed myself, I wanted to see myself as a professional. I wanted others to see me and treat me as a professional. And so I stopped being edgy, and I stopped being, like, I stopped doing a lot of that shit, just having these kind of conversations. And people started to recognize that. But see, I didn't know they started to recognize that, because I was so caught up in the concept of portraying myself in this manner that over time it just started to erode me, because I fucking hated it.
It came off fake, because I remember, seeing that versus seeing like the polar bear video, or even hearing your Discord call. I was like, oh, this person's funny, but it came off very fake and just so distilled that it became boring.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that front too. I can't quite tell you like necessarily why it happened. Upon reflection and listening to people, to be honest, a lot of it was kind of listening to people, like people right now. This is what I find to be kind of funny, is right now I'm getting a lot of comments from people saying, oh, mundane Matt redemption arc or some shit. I don't care about that. Right. Like, I don't care about that. It's because this is not about redeeming anything to go back to where things were. I don't want to go back to the way things were. I don't want to go back down that road. So I don't care about being redeemed or whatever. And then, but what's funny is I'm now at a point where I'm pushing back against criticism in a way that I didn't do before. Not to say that like it's not valid, but like certain things I'm getting into more arguments, which I enjoy, because I think argument's fun. I think debate is fun. And so, but then it's funny because people that were like, they again, going against their opinion is like, now some people are like, oh, redemption arc canceled. I'm like, I don't care. Just don't watch, Yeah. Like it is what it is. So you just have to kind of lean into it and enjoy it. And that's where I'm at right now. And so people, and I'll tell you this though, people have said to me, like, you should structure Boulder Talk Radio. You should have like a format. And I'll tell you this, I don't want to do that, because if I do that, then that means I'm taking it seriously. And when I take things seriously, because I have OCD and because I've gone to school and I care about things looking professionally, I start to plan them professionally in my head. And when I start to plan them professionally in my head, if they don't go a certain way, because I build it up in my own mind based upon how I want it, how I think it's going to look, but then again, I'm a perfectionist, and that's part of the OCD, is that to me, it's never good enough. And so once I go down that pathway, then it's like I'm tinkering into the point of where I just work myself up into a tizzy, and then it just all kind of goes a shitty way. So, it's one of those things where I can't do that, because not right now, maybe down the road, but not right now. I'm not diving into this. Like, look, for one, I make a couple dollars off super chats. The videos, they make no money off monetization because I swear way too fucking much. and people don't watch, and like, also YouTube will auto post ads, right? They auto mid-roll ads. I'm talking one every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And that's not, people tell me that, and I'm like, motherfucker, because I'm like, God fucking damn it, because like I don't do it. Like, I go to bed, I wake up and there's comments and they're like, Jesus Christ, Matt, the ads, and I'm like, oh fuck, right? So I have to log in and take care of it. Fuck, I hate that shit. So it's like, so there's that, but it's like I don't make any money on this shit outside of some super chats, and some people have donated, and that's very thankful. I'm thankful for that. Thank you. But that's not why I'm doing this. Like, if it does get to a point of where it can be more lucrative, cool beans. I just like the concept of having conversations. That's really what I'd like to do, because I wasn't doing that before. That's not what I was doing. I was like, let's go and look to see what's going to make people angry today. And that's not fucking fun. It wasn't fun. It was annoying. And so it fucked me up. And 2 years later, I think I'm back in a better place. And I would just rather stay on that trajectory.
Well, good. Congratulations. But,
Thank you.
I think I'm going to go to sleep. I think it's pretty light for both of us. So,
yeah, it's definitely late for me. I have research to do on a video I want to do it's so stupid. Again, like what I like to do is I'm a data-driven person. So I want to do a video for like the other channel where I'm like looking at what new Blu-rays are coming out and like what new features are going to be in it. Cause that shit is fun to me. It's data-driven content, and I get to research movies, and that makes me happy. So like, that's how I'm going to go. I'm just going to go put on 10 hours of Skyrim and sit in my room and like listen to Skyrim and then research, what Blu-rays are coming out in the month of September. This is my existence after midnight. It's nothing.
That sounds like a blast.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to do it. So that's why I wanted to go only for an hour. This ran into 2 hours. And I'm totally cool with that one here. So thank you, Sandy, for coming on in. I hope you call in again.
No problem. Don't forget to read your super chats.
I see it right there. I see it. And I'll talk to you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye. All right. Let's see here. 8 Speech Anchovy, who is still in the background. I'm not bringing him back on. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to end this thing. This one is for base Destiny and base Biohazard. Who knows? Right wingers are more efficient at killing people. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Thank you very much for that one. Oh, Hondo the Razor, $5. I'm dieting, so here's some of my junk food money. Stay majestic. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good luck on the diet. Try intermittent fasting. It's a little bit easier than dieting, but 8 hours of eating, 16 hours of not eating, except for drinking water. If you want to go that route, it can work. It's just, it's definitely a pill. All right. So was there a muted question? I didn't see it come through. Let me take a look here. If there was a muted question, I didn't see it. One of my mods must have got it. All the ones up here are done. Okay. Which will ask the question again, Jeff. I didn't see, You're not muted unless one of my mods muted you, but I don't see that. And yeah, ask it again. I do have a very, I have a very stringent, aggressive comment filter. I've had to do it. Trust me. But I should go back and amend some of those words. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah. Ask the. Yeah. No. Anyway. Okay. If you guys want to ask me that question, last question, Jeff, I'll ask it. I'll answer it. If I could talk. Okay. Yeah. Lexi says. Okay. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh my God. All right. No, Simp. I saw you pop on. I'll come back. I'll give you like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I saw you pop in real quick, Simp. Fucking heroin mods. Well, there we go. Show that one. There we go. There we go on that one. All right. I'll give Simp a second. If not, then I'll fuck off. Anyway, let me see here. VHS Archive says the mods got me on heroin. Well, good for them. Good for the mods. Eight Speech here says, I have more money than that other guy. Is this a challenge? Or is this a challenge between the two? Who can donate the most money? Anyway, no, I appreciate. Thank you very much, Eight Speech. Thank you very much. All right. Well, I guess if Simp isn't going to come back in, did he DM me on there? No, he didn't. He didn't DM me on Discord. Or did he hit me up on Twitter? No. Okay. Because that's the thing too. I can figure out probably how to make Discord work on here. I just need to log in through the web browser. Maybe I'll give it a shot for tomorrow. And then just like cover up the chat so people don't see it, but we can get a full conversation going. Okay, he just said he'll jump in next time. Okay. All right, man. Yeah, it's like midnight here. I don't know where it's at where you are. I got to get to bed, or I got to get working on the other stuff. All right. Oh, is Jeffrey going to call in? I'll tell you what, Jeffrey, I'll give you a few minutes. I'm being generous, Matt, giving you guys the opportunity to call in to talk radio. This is a thing. This is a reality. We could do this. Yeah, PPP Sage is not muted. Let's see here. Okay. Eight Speech says in the private chat, I'm not bringing you on because you just no. I'm only 5'10", but if I stand on all my money, like I'm 6'1". Okay, thank you. All right, Jeffrey Deadstein. Fuck, this is gonna be bad. How's it going?
Hey man. I just wanted to ask you, do you think we're going to actually like hit a level where it's like Civil War sort of situation with how things are going? I know. It's a real simple question.
Yeah. I'm like trying to wrap it up and you're like, so Civil War. Like, what do you think? Well,
yeah, I know.
I don't have my beanie, so I can't mimic Tim Pool, who wants everything to be a Civil War.
Of course, snooze.
Yeah. That's pretty funny to me. I laugh my head like this. Have you seen that meme of someone posting to or is Tim Pool like as a stick figure and he's like poking the American flag and he's like, come on, do a Civil War.
No, I haven't seen that, but it sort of makes sense. It's the same thing with mainstream media where, it's beneficial for him at the end of the day, but
yeah, it's beneficial for all those guys like who never leave their house, know. Like, let me tell you guys about a civil war that's going on right now. Oh, are you a journalist? Oh, well, I mean, like, I look at Twitter.
Yeah, I just, for me at least, it as much as I normally am, I'm skeptical of that shit. It does seem like it's sort of escalating day by day.
Yeah.
We're starting to get shootings now where it's not even like purely instigated to the point where it's understandable. And it just gives that vibe where I'm starting to believe more than my skepticism is kicking in.
Well, I actually don't think we're anywhere near that. The tipping point is not there. We're not to say that like we're not like if we were looking at this like let's say like the atomic clock, right? We'd be inching towards midnight, but we're still maybe like we're still like 8 minutes away from midnight. You know what I mean? It's a long way to get there. And the reason why I say it like that is because for one, yes, there have been shootings, there have been instances, but that's like that is kind of like a boiling point, and there is going to be some spillover. We've never quite gotten to this situation before. There's always been some kind of down period to kind of like let it cool down before it flares back up. Now we haven't seen that, so it is escalating. But as we move into the fall and as we move in towards winter, when we start to see, people aren't going to come out when it's not summertime. Yeah. And they're not going to do it. So they're going to stay indoors. They're going to, they might protest in the day, but if it hits like below zero in some of those places, they're not going to come out. You're not going to see people rioting or protesting in Chicago in December. It's just not going to happen. The thing is, though, it's really what it's going to boil down to is the government figuring out exactly how they want to do things. And the only, but it's as long as we have Facebook and as long as we have Twitter, no, nothing. People are too lazy. They are. They're too lazy. Because you know what it is? It's like the guy, the Biohazard Fallout guy, good dude, but he called in earlier. He's like, I'm watching this on Twitter from Canada, right? Yeah. So he's angry, and I get that, but he's watching it on Twitter from Canada, which means to me that it's like he has no intention of actually going and getting involved. And that is the vast, vast, vast majority of people. They're going to watch this, and as long as it doesn't come to their doorstep, they're not going to care. As long as it doesn't interact or interfere with their day-to-day life, they're not going to care. Now, if it started taking out, like, let's say, power stations or cable TV or the media, like taking down radio towers or taking out cable, cable lines and disrupting the flow of communication and taking out like supply lines and grocery stores and then disrupting the norm of our life outside of what's been disrupted by COVID, then maybe I can see there being a reason for escalation. But for right now, we're still in the comfort of our own fucking home.
But don't you think that since BLM every day is they're mentioning going into the suburbs and they're basically putting pressure on the normal everyday working man. They are basically making that true, where people who normally wouldn't even care are now caring because they're in their backyard. And
well, yeah, and I see a lot of people I seen some pretty remote locations doing the census stuff. I saw one today. Middle of nowhere, like dead end road, Black Lives Matter sign outside of their place. And it not to say that I disagree with the sentiment. I get why they put it out there, but I just I stop and I went, huh, no one is coming out this way. We're literally in MAGA country out here. This is just either this is defiant towards your neighbors or you're worried that there's going to be, some kind of armed insurrection that's going to be marching its way through this town of 1,300 people that's away from most civilization. There's not even a fast food joint in this town, right? Are you worried that it's going to come this far and you're going to be saved by having that there?
Yeah.
If we get to the point of where, we move past, let them eat cake, then that shit ain't going to matter. Where I live in Olympia, you'll see signs, businesses that have Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, can't breathe, the names, remember their names, all that stuff, all those slogans on their building. And I can't help but wonder and ponder to myself, do they believe it? Or is it capitulation to avoid destruction? Is it bending the knee? And here's the truth of the matter is you will have no idea.
It's probably a little bit of both.
It probably is. It probably is. But right now, where these protests are taking place, if they were CHOP was probably the closest we would have gotten to something along those lines, right? Of it escalating into a takeover of a city, National Guard having to be called in, armed militias coming in, that kind of fight. I would say it came close, only because of how crazy it got at night. But they shut it down after 2 weeks. They were able to figure out how to shut it down because enough problems had arisen that it crippled any other city really doing that. But now you still have a lot of the outside agitators that are coming in. And that's going to be where we see ourselves is really in these situations. I mean, I'm sorry. Look, Kyle Rittenhouse, guess what? Outside agitator, in my opinion. He didn't live there, right? He worked there, but he didn't live there.
I can understand that. With Kyle, there's some things he fucked up in, but at the end of the day, I'm seeing him praised more as a hero more than a.
Well, on the right side, you're seeing him praised as a hero.
Even the moderates, I know personally, they're saying that they understand where he's coming from. It's more of like a situation where, if you want to argue from a standpoint of what is legal versus what is moral,
yeah,
I've noticed it's much more in his favor than, say, the guy with the truck that got like what was it, consecutive life sentences for driving into the mob. It's a much more understandable situation than it was back in the day, and it's just seeming more that like day by day we are becoming more sympathetic, even if it's more violent, because that's where that civil war sort of mentality is kicking in, because they're more understanding and less oh well, you know, people are dying, yada yada yada. That's where like that concern kicks in, because once we start delving into, you know, people's lives were lost, but we agree with them personally, so we can let it slide. That's where you start delving into the risky mentality.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree with you, and I don't. I my criticisms of Kyle is I mean I do appreciate that he expressed, I would say, moderate trigger discipline. He waited until the people were closer. You know, it wasn't indiscriminate. Well, I don't want to say
just whoever was assaulting him. Really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was like, you know, he had, in my mind, he had I think he had a valid reason in his mind at the time, but that still doesn't change the factors of the situation. You know, I mean, one of the reasons why you look at Zimmerman. You know, Zimmerman claimed, Zimmerman actually, at first, claimed stand your ground. His defense team actually dropped stand your ground from his defense after a while, because they realized there wasn't a bearing for it. You know, the stand your ground laws in Florida would, you know, people thought, oh, that's what it's going to be, but they actually ended up not doing it. So I'll be curious to see what happens with Kyle's defense team, and whether or not they're able to, look, they're going to plea down. Let's be fair. They're going to plea down is what it's going to be. This kid's going away for a number of years. He is. He's not going to walk away scot-free. If they don't get him on the murder, like, they're going to probably plea down to manslaughter.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Like, they're
or maybe second degree, but like the premeditated,
somehow.
the first degree premeditated, like I'm still trying to figure out like that particular charge. I can only, like, I'm trying to, like, because what I'm hung up on, and I just need to go dive in more info on this one. Maybe someone can tell me, is how he got the gun. Because if it wasn't his gun,
someone, I thought it was his parents.
Well, that's the thing. I thought that, like, he had trafficked the gun, right? But from my understanding, he went to work in Kenosha as a community lifeguard. This is like the timeline that I've heard. And then from there, he went and cleaned up graffiti. And then from there, he heard about the owner of a car dealership that was looking for people to help guard the car dealership because that other one had burned the night before. And then somewhere in there to like the shooting, somehow he procured a firearm. And I still want to know, like, again, in what rational world do you give a 17-year-old kid in a fucking protest a goddamn gun? I don't care what the law is saying, you know, whether you can be 16 or 17 and open carry a rifle in the state of Wisconsin. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm talking about this from a moral, like, I'm curious about this from a moral standpoint. Who in the right fucking mind gave this kid a gun? Now, and also, why the fuck didn't his parents go, okay, I get you want to be there. You did your duty during the day. Why don't you come home? It's not safe. You know, like, I mean, as a parent, I would be absolutely, like, you know, asking my kid, like, why or I'd be there with my kid. If you feel so strongly about this, I'm going to be there with you to, for one, protect you and make sure that you survive. Right.
Yeah.
But like this kid's by himself. He's underage. He's got a gun that apparently isn't his. And because according to like his defense team, I think they said that the gun did not come from out of state, which means somebody gave it to him. So it's like, there are questions that I have that I do need to get the answers to, because I don't buy self-defense entirely. And I don't think it's going to hold entirely. So
It all boils down to just how the courts are really going to handle it. Because
Well, yeah, and it's gotten a lot of play. So who knows what's going to happen on that front there?
all right. Well, that's all I just want to ask. You have a good night, Matt.
Yeah, you too, man. Come on in again. It'll be a fun conversation.
All right, peace out.
Yeah. Let's see here. Hold on. Danko, it hasn't popped up yet. Is something saying I'm moral fagging with no ground to stand on with my past? Oh, eat a dick, you motherfucker. Who gives a shit? I'm asking the question of why a 17-year-old was given a gun that didn't belong to him when he was at a fucking protest. You want to argue moral fagging? Asking a question about why this thing happened is not, who fucking cares? And what do you mean with my fucking past? Eat a dick. Like, seriously, eat a fucking dick. All right, if you want to go off about flagging, oh, I reflagged some videos. Was it dumb? Yes, it was. Did I fucking kill 2 people? No. The two are not even remotely connected. Asking questions about an unrelated event that is rocking this country, that is questioning whether or not we're going to go into a civil fucking war, and you want to compare it to reporting some assholes on fucking YouTube? Seriously, find the nearest cliff, throw yourself the fuck off it. Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck, dude? That is not even a remote fucking, like, Jesus, fuck off. Anyway, I just found out both my kids are awake. They are both awake. I'm going to go help my girlfriend. You might have heard the baby crying. I'm going to go put my children to bed, spend time with them, and tell them I fucking love them. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. I see that we got Wizard of Cause in here. Nick, you have to come on again sometime. We'll talk. And thank you, everyone who watched. Thank you, everyone who called in. Thank you to everyone who donated tonight. Fun evening. Have a good one.